And accented syllables tend also to have long vowels. Now, the rule of accent, if I didn't say this yet, I will, is very simple in Hebrew. The general rule is that syllables words are accented. Words are accented on the last syllable unless otherwise noted. And there are times when it's otherwise noted, but we're not even going to worry too much about the accent marks. By the way, the accent mark system is fairly complicated in the actual biblical text. But for our purposes right now, we'll simply use an accent mark when we need one. But if we don't need one, then it's because the last syllable is, the default mode is that the accent's on the last syllable. Well, the point I'm making here is simply this, that because this is a closed but an accented syllable, then we also have a long vowel. So long vowels tend to fall, as we see on the bottom of page 8, long vowels tend to fall into an open syllable or into an accented syllable, or in fact into a syllable that's both open and accented. Short vowels tend to fall in closed syllables or unaccented syllables, but of course any one of those can override it and make it a long vowel. However, if you have a closed and unaccented syllable, then you will, and here you can honestly say will, must. It's rare that you can say this in language courses, but a syllable that is both closed and unaccented will have a short vowel. That rule you should be able to take to the bank. Now, that's a little review of the long and short of it, including our syllables. We talked also, when we talked about the vowels, about Shewa. And I think, oops, we talked about Shewa. And we noticed the function of a vocal schwa as the vowel sound. We noted the vocal schwa as the regular vowel sound, generally a nondescript vowel sound, but it does count as a vowel. Hebrew also has this strange phenomenon of a silent schwa that really simply takes up space, following a closed syllable. Following a closed syllable. Let me give an example here of the word mishpat. Okay? How many syllables are in this word? Let's do this again. Maybe we did this already. How many syllables are in this word? Well, the first syllable is mish, and the second syllable is pat. If we transliterated this, it would be mish pat. Let's look at our vowels, by the way. Is this a long or a short vowel? That's a hirek, which means it's a short vowel. And theoretically, a short vowel should be in a closed, not an open, but a closed syllable. Well, it is. This syllable is closed. And it's a consonant, a vowel, and another consonant over here. Now, what's this doing here? Do you hear this schwa? Do you see when transliteration, we see that the first syllable in transliteration, mish, the first syllable is simply the three letters, the closed syllable. There's no vowel here. The second syllable starts with the pay. By the way, do you notice that in the pay we have a dagesh lane? Of course, we have a dagesh lane. Why? Because this is a bakad kafath letter following a consonantal sound. Following an either no sound or a consonantal sound, but the key is that it's not following a vowel sound at all. That's exactly when you get the bakad kafath letters pronounced hard, as you know, and therefore, back to our word, therefore, we have the regular P sound, pat. Now, is this a long or a short vowel? Well, that's actually a long vowel. I should have put a macron there. That's a comma, long vowel. And is this an open or closed syllable? This is a closed syllable. Now, what's a long vowel doing in a closed syllable? Answer, it's not only closed, but it's also accented. And in this case, the accent becomes the one reason. You only need one reason for a long vowel. You need two reasons for a short vowel. So you have the long vowel in the accented syllable, mishpat. Now, what's this schwa doing here? The answer? Absolutely nothing. This schwa is taking up space. We could have just as easily written this word with nothing there. Do you see that? With nothing there, and it would have sounded the same. Mishpat. Mishpat. This is a good example of the so-called silent schwa, which is literally taking up empty, dead space. Why the Masoretes, in their infinite wisdom, chose to use exactly the same sign for a silent schwa as they did for a vocal schwa remains a great mystery of life and lost to the vagaries of Hebrew grammar. But the fact of the matter is we have these two kinds of schwas, the vocal schwa and the silent schwa, and they look exactly the same. How do you tell them apart? Well, one has sound and one doesn't. Or, better, more helpful, is that the silent schwa really comes at the end of a closed syllable, marking the end after a consonant, followed by no vowel at all, by no sound at all, as in mishpat. That's the work of a silent schwa. Now we'll come back and we'll talk about that some more, especially as we work through some of the spelling problems. But this is one of the trickier things in learning how to spell, is simply knowing when a schwa is silent and vocal and sorting out the difficulties. By the way, in this example, when you have a begad kafath letter after a schwa, you have a tip-off every time. Now, you don't always have a begad kafath letter after a schwa, but when you do, it's kind of a bonus, because if there's a dagesh there, then you know, think about this, then you know that the sound before this was either no sound or a consonantal sound. But in any case, it's not a vowel sound, which means there can't be a vowel here, which means this can't be a vocal schwa, which means it must be a silent schwa. And that's a helpful clue if you just happen to have a begad kafath letter after a schwa. Now, the next topic I want to cover, what's this, by the way? That would be, I think if we put a wow in there somewhere, it would look like a needle, and we'd have a needle in a haystack. Please don't throw anything yet.